May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, preserving the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths crossed his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So we have a guest today. He's a repeat guest. It is Charles Hoy, who we used to call Chuck, but he is no longer Chuck. He's Charles now. Charles was a Shunryu Suzuki student. He traveled out to Trungpa land. He's living in New Mexico with his wife now. I actually got back in touch with him because she's into publishing. And she helps people with their books. I'll give her a little plug here. She's Judy Herzl of New Leaf Studios. If you want some help getting a book edited, published, whatever. Okay, look. After we've had our pause to meditate, let's give Charles a call and see if he's got something to add to his last podcast. But I'll tell you right now, it won't matter, because I can't remember much of anything we talked about, except he likes ice cold. He takes an ice cold bath in the morning. Like where he lives, it gets real cold. Wow. So when you hear the bell, if you're of such a mind, hit pause. Meditate or whatever for as long as you wish, and when you're ready to come back, hit unpause. And we'll be here to hit the bell to end the meditation or whatever, and we'll give Charles Hoy a call.
Hey, Mr. Chadwick.
There we are. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
How about yourself? What's going on in Bali?
Oh, well, it's rainy season, and I'm working on a bunch of the Cuke Archive stuff, doing podcasts, which I would like this to be a material for a podcast, because you are an esteemed alumni of Tassajara and Zen Center, and thus you will add prestige to our collection of podcasts.
Well, usually, like I tell people when they take my picture, usually I charge a hefty fee, but for you, sir, there will be no charge.
A minimal fee? Well, that's good. That's good.
You saw in my note, I was telling Judy, I said, I call David the Great Mother. He's taking care of everybody.
Well, that's very kind of you. I'm not used to being called a mother. There have been other uses of that word for me. But I will call forth my feminine nurturing components to meet with you then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I say things like that, I always pause and then I say, "God damn it." maybe it's just my suppressed aggression. I got to throw it out there every once in a while. God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't suppress it. Hold nothing back.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Hey, you still, I know you are, taking ice baths there in Santa Fe.
Yeah, I'm still doing that. It's part of my health regime. It seems to be, you know, you know, well, well, first of all, let me get that. We need to get this straight. In this conversation, I'm the elder. You know that, right?
No, I don't. I don't. When were you born?
I think I was born. I was born in '44.
Oh, you are elder. You are elder.
Yeah.
And you're not.
So
You and I are silent generation. We're not. We're not boomers.
right, right.
Yeah, that's 46.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that ruined everything. Uh,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, who knows about that? Yeah.
yeah.
I was talking to my brother-in-law who was born in 1960, and I was just kind of talking. So I just flipped up on the screen and said, "Well, how many people did we have in 1960? How many Homo sapiens on the planet? We had 3 billion,
Mm,
and now, of course, we're pushing 8. That really affects consciousness of all of us.
mm.
It's like so.
Yeah, it's
I
getting
think.
crowded in here.
At
uh,
least inside of my head, it's getting crowded.
hey, when you take an ice bath, do you do that every morning?
I was doing it every morning. I'm no longer gainfully employed. I'm just kind of doing some projects here and there. But now with all my regimen from my Zen days, I tend to be a little on the loose side. I like to get in at least a cold shower, a 5-minute, 6-minute cold shower if I don't jump in the ice tub. Like
Mm-hmm.
today, I've been just kind of. I got up early and went over to the store to get some coffee and this, et cetera, et cetera. So didn't make it in today, but definitely first thing tomorrow morning.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, I have a question. Do you have an extra long bathtub?
no, what I have is a chest Frigidaire. It's a size. I did have a horse trough, and the horse trough was really funny because it just didn't. Well, it just in the middle of the summer, if it's 85 degrees outside, your water is going to be about 65 or 70. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you can dump in 30 pounds of ice, and that's not going to that'll lower it 5 degrees, 6 degrees. You
Mm.
know, but a chest Frigidaire is insulated, and whether it's winter or summer, you can basically turn it on every once in a while and get it down. We keep ours around 35, 36 degrees,
Oh, you
and
mean
then
you have a Frigidaire with a door that's plugged in?
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God, that sounds terrifying. Can you open it from the inside?
Well, when you get in, you don't close it.
Well, yeah, but what if some accident happened? What if there was an earthquake that slammed it shut? Man, I would get an opening from the inside. That's terrifying.
Well, no, it's like it's open. It's completely, it's 90% open. It ain't gonna close on you.
Well, what if you
Well,
have a
it's
malicious neighbor that runs like a kid? Maybe he's demented, and he sees you in there, and he
well,
runs
I've
over and
I've
shuts
get
it,
I've
and maybe he's got a thing, some irrational thing against you, and he sees you, and he runs over and shuts it and runs away. Nobody saw me, he thinks. Ha ha ha.
well, it's like it can open from the inside. There's no lock on it.
All
You know.
right, that's what I asked. I said, can you open it from the inside?
Okay. But here, get this if you want something to freak out about. So
All
2
right.
years ago, in the middle of the winter, here's the great, I call my enlightened self Chucky Poo. The great Chucky Poo is in doing an ice tub. There's snow out. It's crazy. But I'm in there, it's 35 degrees, whatever. And I get out, I usually put water on my face about 10 times, and I stick my head in, just for good sakes, if there's any dementia characters up in my head, they're gonna get frozen out of there, or what have you.
Good idea.
So I go around to the back door, and I'm naked, but I have a towel.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the back door, and the back door is locked. And I go, oh shit. And I don't know but anyway, I don't think I had my cell phone for some reason. I was using some other timer. But luckily, I go around to the front, and there I am, in the middle of the winter with a towel, wet, and my wife is just getting into the car going to school. And I'm just going, man, if you saw some old naked guy walking up down the street in the middle of winter with a towel around himself, and he was knocking on your door, would you let him in? I was going, oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, she said, oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. That's good.
So, what you guys ever going to come? You're like 12,000 miles away, aren't you?
No, I don't think it's that far. That would be the exact opposite, or almost the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Point.
Let's say
I think we're more like
8,000
miles from you or something. I can actually tell you. Well, let's say here, Santa Fe, New Mexico to Denpasar, Bali. Distance, all right, 9,241 miles. Wow, that is a long way.
That's a truck, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no train between here and there. I like trains. And I will fly, but flying back to America, that's expensive. What would I do when I got there? It's really big, and there's all these crazy people and angry people and people with guns everywhere shooting at people. And it's like it's in the early stages of a civil war. It's well on the way to becoming a fascist dictatorship. Although that's all right to visit. I don't.
Well,
I don't know.
It's all part of the media situation, because we have to, the media lives off of clicks, and you know how to get a click, man, is you stir up the proletariat, whatever
right.
whatever side you're on, you get them revved up, like they say, Donnie Trump was a godsend for the media because people were reading that shit every day, Donnie says this.
Anger and outrage, really
fuel it. He's your guy, like my brother. Donnie's his guy.
Oh, well, I'm glad your brother has found something comforting. Yeah, I don't really worry about all that stuff so much, but that's partly because I ignore it. I read science news, and that's really more dismal. But I feel comfortable in science news, and I just released an album, and the lead song on it is it's a scientific statement on the situation on Earth now. And it's also my personal message to the 26 people, and it's called On the Way to Venus.
I listened to a little bit of it. I should listen to it more. Did you see that?
You listened to a little bit of it. You played part of a song. I've had people say they read a little bit of a book, but I'm not used to somebody saying, "Oh, I listened to a little bit of your song."
Well, okay, I'll take that in stride.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed what you're doing.
Well, that is very good to hear. Hey, on a different note, wait, how long have you been in Santa Fe?
Oh God, forever, 30 years.
30 years. So
just one joke from the Glasgow. Maybe you saw it. You know, one planet is talking to another planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the one planet is really blue and green and looks really beautiful, and the other planet is kind of gray and dark brown and everything. And the beautiful planet looks over to the dark brown, gray planet and said to it, "Don't worry, they only last about 11,000 years." They being human beings.
11,000 years. How is that calculated?
That part I'm not sure where they came up with that number.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, you know, depending on where you start, it could be 100,000. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the molten core will be affected, but I think the greenness will be. Unless we change. And I'm sure we will. I just have nothing but faith in the human race to turn it around. But hey, if it doesn't, you know, as Lao Tzu is reportedly said, you cannot improve the universe.
Hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. So really, everything's all right. We're just stuck in a little tiny picture here and get all worried about it. And you know, it's the Kali Yuga. I mean, what do we expect? So you've been there 30 years. All right. So that's
yes,
96.
Yeah, actually, I came down to Albuquerque in about, when was that? In Albuquerque for about 8 or 9 years. Got to Albuquerque probably, you know, about 10 years before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What took you to Bali?
My mother died, and you know, I had been spending a lot of time with her, and which was inspiring, and her passing was inspiring. And then, you know, it took time, months, to get the estate all closed up and everything. And then Katrinka's ex-husband died, who she was taking care of, or overseeing. I mean, she was his contact, and he was in a convalescent home. And then we were free. And we had a little bit of money. And I said, you know, this money will last us a lot longer if we go to Asia. And I was somewhat familiar with parts of Asia. So we did that. And we went to Singapore for Singapore first. And then we came to Bali for a few months. And we already had tickets to Thailand and Japan as part of the round trip package. So we went there. We spent 6 weeks in Thailand and 10 weeks in Japan, 8 of it in Kyoto. And that was great because I know a lot of people in Japan, and, you know, I've lived there. And then we thought, let's go back to Bali. That was nice, and it's cheaper than Thailand.
Oh,
Japan's a
really?
lot cheaper than it used to be. Oh yeah, Bali's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, Thailand is, yeah, I mean, pretty inexpensive compared to the States.
Oh yeah, yeah. Japan is about like the States now. That's was my experience, and but it's much more convenient to live in Japan because they got great mass transit. You don't need a
Uh,
car or anything. Uh, and God, I don't know the healthcare in Japan. I mean, if you have once you get on something like I mean, I was on Elon and I were on a cultural visa. We pay like $15 a month for total medical dental coverage and co-pays of like $2.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Uh, so we Thailand's a lot cheaper, but Bali is not only cheaper. It's the people are really good and it's just more accessible and so we liked it. So we came back, and except for a few flights to Kuala Lumpur and Singapore for visa reasons, I've never left. She goes back to America every year. She just left. She just arrived a few hours ago in San Francisco, and she'll be there 6 weeks. And
Oh,
I will be getting a lot of work done. That's what I do when she's gone. Get more work done. So look, so you went out to Colorado to Boulder, right? Am I right?
yeah, that was 1976.
Oh, you went in '76 to Boulder. Uh huh.
Yeah.
Uh huh. I went through there some through the years. I'm going back to Texas and stop off in Boulder sometimes for a couple of weeks, and Santa Fe and Taos. Great places. Um, so
Did you hang with Trungpa Rinpoche at all, or
yeah,
there was too much? Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. I'd spent time with him before. He had this giant following, and he,
Yeah.
he said that he uh, to liked to see Bob Halpern and me because we reminded him of Suzuki Roshi. but Bob was, like uh, an assistant to him, a
Yeah.
go-to guy
Yeah.
for a long time until he went to Japan. But I just had occasional brief encounters. He wanted me to come to a seminar, he said, and teach meditation. But
Huh?
I liked visiting, but seeing was a bit much for me.
Oh yeah. No, it's a whole trip, but
Yeah, I like the people, great people. I really like, and
yeah.
I'd go there. I'd go to Boulder, and I'd see 30 people I knew from the Zen Center. You know, and it was great. I loved it. And a lot of people were really helped going there. It was very the scene tended to empower people a lot. People that were having some problem, adjusting to life and everything because of having spent so much time at Zen Center in Tassajara. They go to Boulder, and there was a very high value put on making a lot of money and dressing well and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, somebody who wasn't doing so well in San Francisco would be selling real estate and buying a home. So I thought that was good. Um, and that changed at Zen Center too. It was just part of the evolution and of the group. Trungpa said, he said, you all aren't hung up about sex. He said, you're hung up about money.
Yeah, and most of us still are to one extent or another. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, indeed. So, When did you first get an inkling of some sort of that maybe there was more to reality than you'd been taught, or than that you'd figured out, or that there was something greater than what you were experiencing, that sort of thing?
Oh, you're talking just a human being, not as a Buddhist and
Right,
all that
right,
good stuff.
right. Like some people have like enlightenment type experiences when they're 5 years old. They'll be.
Yeah.
Lou Hartman had a very heavy experience, and he ran and said, "Mommy, mommy, I just saw God." Said, "Yeah, sure, dear." Uh,
Well, I could sum it up for you in about a minute.
oh, please do.
So yeah, I'm a good Catholic boy, right? Actually, there's a picture of me and with my brother and sister, and they're all my brother's kind of stooped over with a big smile on his face, and my sister's off to the side playing with a dog, and there I am. It's just I could copy it and show it to you. It's like, it's kind of like, what the fuck? There I am sitting up straight, with my hands together in gasho.
Wow.
I'm like 4 years old,
Wow.
But when being a good Catholic kid, when we would do the mass thing, I was an altar boy. I
Yeah.
was like a mystic weirdo from the get-go. The priest would, it was still doing Latin back then. The priest would go Ad Deum quilitat, Ad Deum quilitificat juventutem meum, which means I go into the altar of God, the God that brings joy to my youth. I mean, I was like in mystical union already, it was just like, so, but I think the real McCoy for me, there was always something, like, maybe I always thought that was just kind of natural, but maybe not. I'm in high school and we're having out with the guys and the gals, we're having a great party and we're drinking and dancing and everything. But then, you kind of go off by yourself and that there's something else happening, I mean, not to put the party and the drinking and playing around down at all, but something else is calling,
Yeah.
So, but the thing, later on, I got to spend this. I'm sure was in the previous podcast. I got to spend the summer up in Alaska, out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
I was a stream guard, and luckily we were guarding the bay, so no salmon fishermen wouldn't fish in the bay.
Uh-huh.
And there's your story, your yada yada in your head needs to be supported. You got to talk to somebody or turn on the news or something to keep it going. If you're out in the wilderness, after a couple of weeks, it just kind of dies out, and there you are. So.
Yeah.
So that kind of happened, but the real, I think the path to more to on the practice side of things, from there I almost went over the edge, in terms of neurosis, psychosis, because I was a naive kid from Nebraska. I'm sure this is on the other one, which is just the truth. I'm this naive kid from Nebraska, and here I am reading all these depressive, my heroes were the suicidal, depressive guys, the existentialists we're talking about.
Right.
And if you believe that crap, then guess what? And I was on Skid Row in Seattle, and a heroin addict mentioned Krishnamurti to me. And I would go to the store and get terpene hydrate and codeine cough syrup for this guy. And I opened
that was
up
very thoughtful of you. Very thoughtful.
I don't think I even knew why he was wanting it. I think maybe I must have. Come on, I couldn't be that dumb. But anyway, I'm this Catholic mystic, character, reading The Cloud of the Unknowing or The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley, just getting more and more spaced out. And Krishnamurti was, amazing, just amazing, because it was like I couldn't believe, I could only read a paragraph and I'd sit there for about a half an hour, because he would talk about, okay, what are you thinking right now? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What thoughts do you have about yourself? It wasn't like he didn't use the words here and now, but basically it was always coming back to what's going on here. That I just couldn't believe it. Because the Catholic mystical thing is this kind of union with God, whatever you think that is. So.
Well, I think the Catholics got some pretty good trips going in their mystical.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the Jesuits, do what you're doing. That's here and now. And also, be still and know God. Those are two Jesuit things I quote periodically. Be still and know God. That's real here and now. So it just depends on how one applies it,
Absolutely. But you're somewhat pretty neurotic kid, who can barely say hi to somebody.
Yeah.
Reading the Cloud of the Unknowing might not be so helpful for you.
I have trouble reading things, really. I don't read a lot of. I write, but I guess I'd read all the time, but I read things. I don't really just sit down and read to read. Usually, it has to do with something. Like these days, it all has to do with my work or something, or a lot of times things that people ask me to read. So then I feel like, well, I've got to read it. But something like The Cloud of Unknowing or Krishnamurti or any of that stuff, most of it I just read into it a little. I go, oh, that's neat. And I grew up around that sort of thing in the New Age Christianity sort of thinking, which was very mind only, like Christian Science and Church of Religious Science and
okay.
So that was the headset. There is that God is not a being, and mind. Everything is it comes from mind, and mind the way it's used. Well, there's different ways mind is used in Buddhism. There's, but mind like big mind, Suzuki's big mind. And so anyway, my father was different. My father was sort of obsessed with wanting to understand reality. And so he would read.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
He would read like New Age Christian stuff and sort of early New Age, TNT, The Power Within You, The Power of Positive Thinking. But he really liked the stuff that would really go to sort of what I call mind only, where like he'd say, he'd tell me that matter didn't really fundamentally exist as anything separate and stuff. So I was around stuff like that, and that gave me a sort of different approach to things. But I was very turned on by Buddhism. I mean, when I ran into it,
When did you first just run into it? Like this was Suzuki Roshi or before?
Oh no, well, really it was Suzuki Roshi, but the uh, I think it was Charles Hoy in the high school showed me Zim Flesh, Zim Bones. Something like
Aha.
that, but just in the hall. And he was, look at this. And he sort of turned the pages, read a little thing. Oh, that's great. Wow, far out. And then in in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, I was at somebody's place, and they had Buddha's Law Among the Birds, which Kanze had translated. I read that whole thing. That was neat. But that's a little more like what you're talking about. It's not that sort of here and now type feeling you get from things that really bring you into the present. But it was
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was like Buddha Dharma coming from birds and that sort of thing. I don't remember a single thing from it. Uh,
Hmm.
I just uh, years and years later, I noticed that it was by Edward Kanze, who I'd already met by then and been in classes of his. Uh, what a character! Um, and oh, I know another one. The John Blofield's book on Wang Po, Teaching of
Oh
Wang
yeah.
Po
Yeah.
or
That
something.
one. Yeah.
Great,
That was
great
a
book.
biggie. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the thing that really impressed me and that I always remember about that book is his admonition on how to get enlightened was just well, just stand when you're standing, sit when you're sitting, walk when you're walking. Do that for about 10 years and that'll do it. Uh, wow, really? Um, and Lao Tzu, uh, Chuang Tzu, the Book of Tao, translated by Lin Yu Tang. That's an old translation.
Oh yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah.
Uh,
Lin Yu Tang. Yeah.
yeah, I read that thing.
I studied Lin Yu Tang in high school.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah, he was big, like
Well, I mean,
way back.
I bumped into there was this book. I don't know where it came from. It was called The Importance of Living,
The Art of, I'm
and
sure it wasn't the Art of Living.
maybe yeah, the art, whatever, whatever the name of that book by Lin Yu Tang. Yeah, it was great. It's like, oh my God.
Really, you read
Yeah,
that in high school? Uh, my
yeah,
my mother was familiar with Lin Yu Tang. I mean, he goes
huh.
back. Yeah, he might even go back to the 30s. Um, and uh, my mother was really into Oriental stuff, Japanese stuff like art, and she had a little book on, a coffee table book, um,
Uh-huh.
Japan, and she had a book what they take off their shoes when they go in the home or something. It had some name like that, and just little things like that. Um, but um, it was really going to Zen Center that really focused all of that. Um, yeah, and and then for you, was it sort of the same?
Well, it sounds like you really had it in your home.
Yeah.
I didn't have any. I didn't have. I was just like this Nebraska, small town Nebraska kid, doing sports and you know, and then going to college. But it was really, I mean, the doorway for me really was Krishnamurti, because without that, I mean, God, who knows? I mean, we all have so many things like that in our
Hmm.
short lives, where if you hadn't turned that corner at that moment, everything would be different.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But I know, leaving Zen Center was that was Well, yeah, for me, I think I probably mentioned that in that last call too. You know, it was either time to become a priest, at least that's the way my mind was configuring it, or, you know, go practice in Boulder, see what might happen there. So,
What so when you said go practice in Boulder, what was it like practicing in Boulder?
well, we all obviously have our versions of reality. I mean, for me, it was like, um, you know, like getting a job, making a few dollars, living in the sangha, and then I think after about 6 months, I went up and was a cook up at Rocky Mountain Shambhala Center for 3 months or something like that, however long that was. And then you know, so much of it was just you know, like you were saying, it's just the job thing, and then, you know, and the sangha put, you know, a lot of value on materialism, you know, one might call it, you know, or you know, I guess you don't have to call it, you know, making money, you know, having getting married, having a family, if that's in your card deck.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was
Yeah.
you know, I really wasn't that close. You know, I was like a Vajragар, did that thing for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, Vajragard. Wow.
Oh yeah, you know, that was fun. And I remember driving Trungpa Rinpoche to a talk one day. You know, it's like what did I used to say? Yeah, it was like having a black hole in the back seat. You know? He was, but it was good. You know, I kind of look back. You know, I go, well, obviously there was some difficult. You know, well, most of the Buddhist sanghas had some kind of difficult karma to go
Oh
through. You
yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All
You know,
groups.
it's just
All
like,
groups. You know.
yeah, I think some of the Theravadan kids, maybe not. You know, they're so, you know, you got 475 rules you're following. It's a little hard to really fuck up.
No, it's not for it's more like 250 for guys
Yeah,
and
well,
350 for
okay.
women, but they only pay attention to a certain number. Uh, but yeah, the Theravadins, I agree, they seem to uh, be more, well, they, my experience with people I know who've become Theravada Buddhists is they're more sure that they've got the best path, and they have less doubt, and uh, they sort of accept the a more, to me, more literal interpretation of Buddhism, and so everything is neater and cleaner and simpler, and a lot of questions are answered. But it just depends on which one. I wouldn't include Jack Cornfield in that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I would,
yeah,
are
yeah.
the American, some of the American, I don't know. It depends. You know, it depends on the individual. But I've definitely run into that.
Yeah, I know. I studied a bit of that. Yeah, the I was just going to read you. You've probably heard this quote from Jackie. I called Mr. Cornfield Jackie. I'll read it anyway.
Yeah.
If you can sit quietly after difficult news, if in financial downturns you remain perfectly calm, if you can see your neighbor travel to fantastic places without a twinge of jealousy, you can happily eat whatever is put on your plate and fall asleep after a day of running around without a drink or a pill, if you can always find contentment just where you are, You were probably a dog.
That's good. That's
That's
great.
that's pretty good. I've always thought of Jack. I don't know the guy at all. I have real regard for him, but he always seemed a little uptight to me. But hey, we all have our appearances. But that's close to hitting the nail, hitting the hammer with a nail.
That is a great quote, man. Hey, send that to me, would you?
Oh yeah, no, I know. I know a friend who sent it to me. I'm going biking with him in a couple of days. He used to be a Vajradhatu big shot, but he said, "Man, you had me. I was thinking I was following it the whole way. Like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, then it's like you're probably a dog."
Yeah, right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, so in terms of, you said you went to Boulder to see what the practice was like there, right? Was there any
Yeah.
regular meditation you attended?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there was, there was the Datun thing, where you sit for 30 days that we did,
Now, when you
which is
say
pretty.
sit for 30 days, give me the context. Are you alone?
Oh, no, this is a group. Datun is like a group practice,
Mm-hmm.
for 30 days, like up at Rocky Mountain Shambhala Center. You basically, it's not like getting up at 3:30 in the morning, but you're getting up, you're starting at say 7 o'clock in the morning, something like that, and you go to 10 o'clock at night, and
Mm-hmm.
you get, it's the same difference. You got work period, but somebody wanted to fuck around a bit. I don't know how it would be these days. If you had that opportunity, you probably take advantage of it. So.
Yeah, I
Uh,
understand that.
but a lot of it was in that tradition. There was the sitting, which actually, as you know, probably better than I, that Trungpa Rinpoche, really borrowed to some extent that tradition from Suzuki Roshi, and
Yeah.
so that was really an important part of the practice. And then the whole seminary thing, and then the Vajrayana practices, where you're doing visualizations and, something you probably don't have to worry about, 100,000 this and 100,000 of that, and oh God, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, et cetera,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I've noticed that people are into Tibetan Buddhism, and the Trungpa Tibetan Buddhism was a little different. You know,
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing from the other Tibetan Buddhist things, although they were friendly. I mean, they weren't antagonistic, but it just had a different approach because he was so down to earth in so many ways. But people into Tibetan Buddhism, I've noticed, they tend to believe a lot of things. Uh, about different states of mind and who's enlightened, who's more enlightened, and uh,
Oh yeah,
y-
there tends to be some of that story, and also, in the Vajradhatu community too. I don't know how all that fits together these days, with all the confusion, with the Vajra regent, etc. It's
yeah, I hear about that. I hear about that, but I don't really know what happened there. He had some affairs or something. I mean, what's the difference between what he did and what Trungpa did? I mean, Trungpa, the Trungpa's affairs were broadcast daily. I mean, he'd. I went to a talk of his where he came an hour late as usual. Maybe that was earlier than usual, and he ran up to this podium or whatever it was, without holding hands with Allen Ginsberg, announced he just had his first homosexual experience.
well, the difference is the regent somehow thought, the regent had AIDS, you know, way
Well,
back
yeah, I
when it
know.
was
I know.
it was like a death sentence way back when.
Yeah.
And he's so but he's still fucking around, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
That's you know, if you got bullets in your penis, man, you should probably keep your penis in your pants, you
Oh,
know?
oh, I was thinking of the newer stuff. I wasn't thinking of that.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking
Okay.
of Trumpa's son, who became his successor in good
Oh,
traditional
that.
Oriental style. Uh, uh, uh,
Yeah, that. Yeah, I would have, I would agree with that assessment. So I think, I mean, my, you know, whatever, you know, my knowledge is certainly very, very limited, but I think Trungpa Rinpoche, I don't think things were on the, I don't think he hushed just hardly anything up, you know? You know,
no,
it
no.
was
I've heard a few
okay.
things that aren't out, but no. Mainly, he was brazenly un not hiding things.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, when you said Regent, of course, I know the Regent was Ursula Tenzing. Uh, I was thinking of what's he called, the Satyang or uh,
Yeah, the Sakyang. Yeah, that whole
Sakyan.
thing.
Yeah, but all right. So I've never understood. I mean, that's a big trauma for the group in recent years, and I never, I don't read the when I people send me things and they're talking, they're going
Yeah,
back and forth. I don't read any of it, so I never understood what happened. I just look at it and I go, oh darn, he had urges and he had a position, and then so uh, he's like he's taking advantage of his position and stuff.
yeah.
I mean,
I
that
always, yeah, I
well,
always kind of laugh and say, you know, most of us don't have that problem. You know, where there you are. You know, you got your legs crossed in full lotus, or you're up in your throne, or whatever, and you got this beautiful young thing just thinking you are, you know, you're second to God. You know, most of us do not have that problem.
yeah. Listen, it's not just the highest person. Uh, after being a company man for a Zen Center for 10 years, 5 with
Yeah,
Suzuki and 5 with Baker. I went and lived with Liz and Bolinas. But people would say, "Oh, you left Zen Center." I'd say, "Well, I didn't really leave Zen Center. I mean, it's like if you go to school, if you go somewhere else, people say, "Oh, you left the school." Uh, I'm still,
yeah,
I still did things for Zen Center, was involved. I just wasn't living there, and I wasn't being a priest and a company man. I was
yeah,
definitely offered, as soon as I left, I was offered the job of running the bakery because I'd run the green grocer. I mean, Dick liked me to start things, right?
yeah,
Get
yeah.
things
Well, yeah, you
going.
got a lot of energy. Yeah, of
And
course,
then
it'd
once
be
they
great.
level off, it's good to get rid of me, you know? And that's all right with me. That's all right with me
Would it be good to get rid of you?
because I'm better when there's a lot to do, a lot of energy happening,
Okay,
connections to be
okay,
made, stuff like that. Once it takes a person who is reliable and dependable to do the right thing every day and something like that, it's better to get somebody
yeah.
else. Um, so yeah, yeah. When he asked me to be out of the bakery, I said, "You got PBD." He said, "What's that?" "Permanent brain damage." I said, "You gotta let me spend some time away from Zen Center." Uh, but anyway, so oh, I don't know. I'd go to the Zen Center, and and when at times I would put on robes if it was a ceremony or
Yeah,
whatever.
sure.
But then Katagiri was giving a talk at Green Gulch, and I was his Jisha. Maybe I was staying there for a little bit of time or something. I don't know why I was his Jisha. So, this is just the guy following him, carrying incense, right? And and then I sat next to him. And when I turned, this was at Green Gulch on Sunday, there was like 300 people there. When I turned around and sat there, I could tell, I counted 5 women looking at me like longingly. And I'm very open to that sort of thing. A lot of people weren't, but well, I didn't have affairs with, at Zen Center like that by then. And because, I'd learned. And I never wore robes again at Zen Center after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I just went, I don't need this, And then so, I don't know. It's just, the whole way it's set up, elevates the teachers too high and, and then they really got to watch their behavior, but it's but it's not, it's true with all, right now, especially in America, it's true with all types of people of any sort of authority. Like if you this has been true for a long time, but it's really got to a fever pitch in recent years. I was talking to a guy who was got a job as an assistant principal in a high school, and he said the first thing he did was take the door off his office.
Huh? Yeah. I had a good buddy basically who was teaching. He would go up to Rocky Mountain Shambhala Center. This was up to 5 years ago. And in the summer, there would be these college kids come up from, I forget the name of the college out on the West Coast. And he had done it for 5 or 6 years. And of course, there's some beautiful young women. And, he's kind of a playful guy, our age. But he just got... He was just hit by the perfect storm, right before they're getting ready to leave. He's a performer, he's really, really funny, outgoing guy, at least he was. And right before they're getting ready to leave, he's at the piano singing a song, and, he invites this one brown-skinned woman up to sing a song with him. And I forget whatever happened, but basically he got just nailed because people just thought he was inappropriate. He didn't even touch anybody. Yeah,
but, I tell you, that's a real nice thing about living in Indonesia. I don't have to worry about anything like that.
But it's he's been it's been really, really, but, karma can just smack you around sometimes. Now he's been, anyway, his whole thing is gone. But, at the same time, to me, if that would happen to me, the first thing I would go, and see what happened is the girls went back to college, and then they had this kind of reporter thing going on at the college. Hey, how was it at Rocky Mountain Shambhala Center? And they do this whole interview, which ends up as a video podcast of how Barry was inappropriate to the women, and all the women thought that, and Barry got up in arms and was going to do a legal thing. I was just like, dude, absolutely. The first thing I said, man, I know you're not going to listen to me. I said, if you would do it, I would go with you. First thing you do is you go out to the college and ask for, I want to sit down and talk with these women. And the first thing you do is apologize.
Right. There you go.
You know, and it isn't like, it's not what I intended to do, but obviously you took it this way, and I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not like that's going to
if you're
make
guilty of
everything
anything,
better.
admit it. Don't hide it. I've had that happen to me, and
yeah.
It sort of nullifies the attack that's happening.
Well, it's kind of like emotional Aikido. I mean, somebody wants some pushback, you know, and you're going, no, you know, obviously, in your eyes, I did something, and I'm sorry. You know,
Yeah.
please forgive me. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, kind of non-dual compassion.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
I'm not saying that I am against the awakening that has happened in America about the disparity of power and all that stuff. I just think things get out of balance. It's all a matter of balance.
Yeah.
Here in Indonesia, of course, Indonesia's places are much more different from each other than in, well, they're pretty different from each other in America too. So that's all too complicated to compare. But let's say here in Bali, which is the only thing I really know, and only know it a little bit, the serious disparities here are legal rights. But I do not run into to problems in relating with women. Of course, I'm older, so it's different. But I was with a group of Muslim women recently. Katrinka and I were staying in a place, and the woman who owns it with her husband, she's a local person, and it's basically mainly empty. You know, everything's empty because there's no tourists. But she had these friends, all these friends. Maybe a relative. They're all Muslims. They're all, and there must be some group or something. There was like 30 of them, and they're all dressed alike. So maybe some group, or you know, with hijabs and all that. And they were making all this food, so I was hanging out talking with them, and I said, but the food is just so beautiful the way you're arranging it. And I said it's only matched by the beauty of all of you. And they all just laughed and loved it, you know. So there wouldn't be anybody here saying, oh, that's inappropriate or anything. But, you know, I don't come on to women. But it's really nice here. I don't know, relating to people. People here are polite. That's one thing. Americans and Australians, a lot of time, you know, tend to be very informal and forward with people, and express all sorts of different emotions and make jokes that could be interpreted as insults and stuff. I mean, they don't do that here. They're polite. People that know each other are polite. So that makes it easier. And people are considerate when they relate to each other. Cool. However, the term "run amok" does come from Indonesia, and there have been more than one case of mass murder happening here. So you know, it gets out of balance too, and they've got problems, problems everywhere. But nice to relate with. Anyway. So
that's a powerful story, Mr. Chadwick. The last time you had your robes on was when you noticed that you were being glommed on by 5 women that just were enamored with your Zen priestliness.
Yeah, and you know, I would say some people, especially back then when I was younger, It, you know, that was a promiscuous period of my life. My I wasn't promiscuous in my first marriage. When I was at Zen Center, I was promiscuous before it. I was promiscuous
Uh-huh.
after it. But so I don't know. I could. It was a pretty promiscuous time in America, like right before AIDS came on,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
certain people were in tune, and you could just tell by looking at each other. You could be at a party and meet somebody and immediately know that you could have a thing with them. So I had pretty good antenna for that. So I definitely saw that when I turned
Oh
around.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I really like not being promiscuous. my my uh, yeah, my life now is to me. I value peace of mind above all, and the way I used to think, I don't think that way at all. If I think about, uh, you know, if I think about being with another woman, it's like I know what they want, what people want. They want a partner. They don't want to have some quick passing sexual fling. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there are periods when people are younger. It's not true, but that's all I see. That's all I see. And that really dampens sort of the imagination and desire and all that.
Yeah. No, it's well, it's interesting to see that arise. I know, God, probably 10 years ago, I'm with my son. We're in a grocery store, and I'm talking with this young lady, and afterwards, my son comes up to me. He was probably maybe 12 or 13 or a little, yeah, whatever. And he said, "Dad, you're flirting with her." I do my kind of thing. I go, "No, no." I said, I was appreciating natural resources. And, and I said, I told him the difference. The difference is basically, you could look at a young man or a young woman or whatever age, and you could really appreciate their physical beauty. You know,
Yeah.
I said, when you're flirting, I define flirting as where you're talking with somebody and the thought occurs in your mind, I wonder if I could get their phone number.
Right.
And the
Right.
flirting starts to happen when you start to imagine and think how to get their phone number.
Right. Right. Right.
It's just otherwise it's just like, hey, we could appreciate, like they talk about in the tantric teachings, an old hag, who's maybe getting ready to die. One could, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, the main thing I see, and this isn't just about flirting. This is about respecting people. Is to treat everybody with respect, and that's what the
yeah,
word love in the Bible really means. Let's
huh,
respect your neighbor.
uh-huh,
Uh, that's why I said that's what Thomas More says. I never liked the idea. I always thought that's really putting people on the spot, saying they should love their neighbor. It doesn't matter. And I also felt that about the civil rights thing, which I was somewhat involved with. Is that it was so much emphasis on love, and I thought no, that's what people think of with love. That's not it. That's not it. And finally, I hit on respect. It's respecting and really respecting people's legal rights. All right. Well, we had many important things to talk about, but maybe we better move
I
on.
think so.
All right, but that's been fun.
By the way, yeah, I see Dan Welch around every once in a while. We had breakfast together, I guess, about a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I was very happy to be a facilitator in getting you back together with him. Yeah. Now go listen to the rest of that song. Listen to the whole album, or
I will.
you'll be tested on it.
Okay. Good enough. Let's chat sometime soon. Good to talk with you, David.
All right. Okay.
Okay, take care, man.
Yeah, take care. Bye bye.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Sama.
Take care.
That means what it sounds like. Same back to you. All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
So thank you very much, Charles Hoy. Glad we had another nice talk. Maybe someday we'll have a third one. Until next time, this is DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from Sleepy Sanur with Doggy Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and your lovely Katrinka. We're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.